And today we're going to have a very, very short video. I decided to put 5 random facts about myself as a reader. Let's start. Whenever I read, I mean physically read, whenever I, ebook, physical, like a physical copy, like a paper copy, whatever, it doesn't matter. I tend to listen to classical music. Like where I am now in Germany, my preferred stations are BR Classic, which is a Southern Germany radio station, and Classical Radio, which is a national one. BR is actually part of the fee we pay quarterly. I don't know if it's us explicitly because it's in Bavaria, but we all pay money every month to access these things. Or not month, but every quarter. And the money just keeps going up. And if you're poor, you still have to pay it. It's a bit like the licensing fee for BBC, I think. That's kind of how you would see it. But it's required, like you have to pay it. The government will come after you if you don't pay it, because that's how they fund things like television, radio, and a lot of our news comes from radio versus anything else because we don't really have local stations like we do back in the States. Now, I prefer piano and like violin, viola, those kind of pieces because I find them very calming, and they also allow me to like get lost in the book because there's something about the tempo and the range and the waviness of it, that really kind of can get me where I need to be. Now, when I'm creating, that's something different. So if I'm creating something for my Bookstagram, or if I'm creating something for here, if I'm not listening to an audio, which is most likely what I'm going to be doing, I listen to like 90s alt rock, I listen to 90s country or original movie scores. If you look on the screen, you shall see the channels that I listen to mostly because they're online, they're internet radio, because I can listen to it on my phone because my phone is my computer. I don't have one. My husband has one, but I do not. Okay, so that was the first go round. Yay! So the second one is my first real memory of reading was my Hello Kitty bath book in the 80s. I was a toddler. I couldn't have been probably more than like 3 or 4. And like my daughter, I started to read young. I adored that the Hello Kitty book changed colors because it was a bath book, and so you would put it in, and the colors would change. And I remember being so excited because it was one of those puffy books, and it was just, oh, I love that book. I have such clear, deep memories of being in my elder godmother's house and living where she was, taking a bath in her bathtub and just, oh my God, I love that thing. It was so much fun. And then my next strong memory is I loved this book, this cover book of Mother Goose. My daughter actually loves Mother Goose too, but I didn't plan it that way. That was her. But what I found very interesting was this one had like, Lady Bird, fly away home. Your house is on fire and your children will burn. There's, Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater. And also, I call it Over the Moon, when the cow jumped over the moon. Those were some of my favorites. I also liked other ones, but those are the ones that have stuck with me. I'm 43, and I remember reading those, being read those when I was 2, so that should tell you something. Now, here's an interesting thing as a mom who is raising a reader. I didn't encourage it for Minnie. My daughter chose this on her own, and that was a very specific choice of mine. I wanted to make sure that she was going to do something she wanted to do instead of thinking she had to follow along. Like my dad, both my godmoms, they were hugely into reading, and I just adapted that naturally. And I wanted her to have that option because not everybody is born to be a reader. And I don't mean that badly either. Just some people don't have the patience or the time, or, they have ADHD, they're neurodivergent. There's all kinds of things that make it hard for someone to read. So I didn't want to push it on her, but she has been reading for as long as I can remember. She will come up and she will have like 3 books in her hand and go, read, mama, read. And, she'll read to me sometimes. Well, not read, but she'll tell me what's going on in the book. And that's part of what we do because she's so young. She doesn't always understand the stories. So what we do is we describe the scenes, we describe the emotions, we give her a visual of what she's looking at. So when she does read the story eventually, she will understand everything within the context of what she's reading. Now remember, she's only 2.5, and some of these books are on their third replacements or second, and that's not always easy because the English books often come from, I know that her favorite book, you'll see it on the screen, it comes from America, so it can be somewhat difficult to access it, right? But I think that it's so important for her to be so vivacious with it. Like her whole face lights up, but also so voracious with it because I want her to read. I want her to learn. She loves the idea of learning. And I know everyone says TV time is bad, but there are things like Mo Williams where you can listen to people reading books. There's all kinds of online access. There's like V-books. There's all kinds of things where you can watch things happen. There are ones where you can like see Disney books be read and all kinds of stuff. So I like that option for her because it doesn't always need to be us. Sometimes it's nice to see things in a more kinetic, active way being read. Pigeon books by Mo Williams, she loves those. Okay, and this Draka book is her favorite. I'm saying this one is the first copy, thankfully, because I don't think we can find it anymore, but this is her favorite at the moment. Now, more interestingly, after 3 years, I'm finally able to physically read. Since January 22, I haven't really been able to read. That was when I was pregnant. And I also had my first bout of COVID. And that was a fun time to have them both and worry about your entire pregnancy. But anyway, that's not my point. My point is ever since I've had that, I've had brain fog. And now I went from being able to read like, I don't know, 4 books a week minimum to, being able to only listen to books. And I love audiobooks. So they're staying, they're not going anywhere. But it's been such a relief to be able to read again, to physically like hold the book, to get, to feel the pages bend back, stuff like that. And so, I'm really enjoying it. I read 6 books in February, which I'll talk about in my wrap up. I'm going to specifically, discuss this part of it there again for that reasoning. But it's been so great because I'm so afraid that after the subsequent exposures and the pregnancy hormones doing what they did and me having the postpartum depression and everything, I was afraid that it was just never going to come back. And I'm so grateful it's back because reading has always been my escape. And finally, the last one is a fun one. So growing up, my godmother never DNF'd a book. In the 80s, I think she DNF'd 2 books. One was I don't know, she said it was by someone named Robin D. I don't know, like the name even stuck in my head, and this is many years later. But she read that, and she said it was like so gory and so sexually manipulative and disgusting that she just couldn't finish it. And I don't remember what the other one was, but I remember there was 2 of them. But she never DNF'd. And so I grew up in that place. I was like, okay, I don't DNF. I finish a book no matter how hard I hate it. I finish it because I started it. It's, perseverance. However, there was always an exception to this rule. There was always the exception of either a Jane Austen or a Bronte book. I refuse to read both of them. I hate them both. It is what it is. The writing is not for me. I physically just cringe when I have to read them. I know everyone loves Pride and Prejudice. I get it. People like Emma, I totally get it. Wuthering Heights, I don't know. I never read it because I've only read like 2 different Brontes and I hated them both from 2 different sisters. So I never gave the third a chance. But needless to say, I would not DNF books. But Tessa Dare on social media in the mid 2010s told me that, hey, it's okay. You can just DNF a book. It literally opened my eyes because at the time I was at Dragon Con and I was communicating with her because I was reading her book on my Kindle. This is like one of the original Kindles, and I was talking to her about it and stuff. And that's also when the DNF thing came up, and I was like, "Oh my god, I've been released!" So now I DNF whenever I want. I don't worry about it because my time is more valuable than being miserable. And so that's something that I'm really trying to bring back, that joy of reading, especially since I am physically reading again. I even got books from the library, guys, like physical books, not just audiobooks on Libby. So I'm very excited about this. And that's it. Like, that's my 5 random facts. Do you have any facts? Please tell me below. Like, what is cool and what do you enjoy? What's the most like unusual thing about you as a reader that no one would probably guess? Yeah, tell me. And if you don't want to do that, then please leave your favorite colored heart in the comments because there's like 1,000 of them. So just choose one. Put your favorite one in there. If you don't have to explain, but if you'd like to, that'd be great too. I will talk to you guys later. I have to edit this. I want to post it this weekend, which is like beginning of March. So that way next week I can have more time to really thoroughly talk about the February wrap up because there's a lot to say. Enjoy your weekend, week, life, comfortable living situation at the moment. Look, if you're sitting on the couch and you're comfortable, that's a comfortable living situation, okay? It doesn't have to be permanent. It's a thing. And if you look at the very end of this, you will see I have a tiny bit of B-roll where I went to the teen section of my local library and grabbed a couple of books because I was very curious and they were there, and that's just how I roll. Bye.